Hello, I'm calling the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to regular meeting number 1410 of the Wachusett Regional School Committee. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Holden TV channel 194 and holdentv.com. The first item on the agenda tonight is public hearing. Is there anyone who signed up to speak at public hearing tonight? Let's see.
Oh.
Did you sign up, Lindsay? Come on over.
Thank you for allowing me this time to speak tonight. My name is Lindsay Lucasen. I'm a Holden resident, and I'm here to share some concerns about the extended school year services that began today. The issues that occurred are significant and need immediate attention to ensure the safety and well-being of our children. Firstly, and most alarmingly, a child went missing today. Eventually, they were found outside. At the same time of this incident, the police were informed by a community member who had found a lost boy by the Sterling Greenery playground, which sits next to a pond. It's unclear if these two instances that occurred at the same time are in fact related, but it really highlights a serious and dangerous concern for the safety of the children at Houghton Elementary School. According to the CDC, children with autism are almost 40 times more likely to die from drowning. If this boy that was found near the Sterling Greenery Park was in fact the student at Houghton that went missing, this is not okay. This safety breach highlights the urgent need for better supervision, a stricter protocol to ensure that all students are safe at all times. Moreover, many families still do not know the name of their child's teacher. This lack of communication creates unnecessary stress, confusion. Parents and students need to know who is responsible for their education and care to feel secure and prepared. In light of what happened at Houghton today, parents don't even know who to contact to question the safety of their child going to school tomorrow. Transportation arrangements were another significant issue. Several children had transportation that was either not set up properly or not arranged at all. Reliable transportation is critical for the accessibility and consistency of extended school year services. Without it, children are left in uncertainty and families are forced to find last-minute solutions, causing great inconvenience. Additionally, preschool children had access to a playground which is designed for children ages 5 through 11. This playground has incredibly dangerous jump-off points that pose a serious risk for 3- and 4-year-olds. Ensuring age-appropriate and safe play areas are fundamental to the safety of our youngest students, and it's causing undue stress for our staff. These issues collectively indicate a troubling level of disorganization and lack of foresight. Our children deserve better. They deserve a safe, well-prepared, and supportive education environment. I urge the committee to investigate these instances thoroughly and take immediate action to address the problems. We need a comprehensive plan that ensures the safety, effective communication, proper transportation, age-appropriate play areas, and sufficient duration of services for the success and implementation of extended school year programs. Thank you for your time and attention to these critical matters. Our children's well-being and education depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else who signed up for public comment? I don't believe so. Okay. So we'll move on to Chair's opening remarks. Thank you everyone for turning out on a summer evening. I'm sure many people would rather be floating in the Holden pool. They're doing something else tonight, so I'll keep my remarks brief. Today was the first day of the ESY program. I want to send my best wishes to the students and staff members participating in the ESY program this year. Also, as most of you already know, the town of Princeton passed the school budget last month, meaning that the district's FY25 budget has been officially approved. I want to take the time to thank all the voters who supported the district budget this year. I know that both town and family budgets are tight right now, so I just wanted to say thank you and recognize the people who prioritized education in this district and turned out to support the budget. Thank you. All right, next agenda item is executive session. I would accept a motion to enter into executive session to discuss strategy for contract negotiations with all bargaining units, as well as to discuss FY25 contracts for legal services, as the chair deems a discussion in open session would adversely impact the district's bargaining position, to return to public session.
So moved. Second.
I think seconded by Dana. All in favor? Oh, we have to do roll call vote. Sorry, there's people online. Would you please call the roll?
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Aber?
Avery, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Winters?
Winters, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Chair Renstrom?
The chair abstains and the motion passes. We're now in executive session. We'll take a short recess while people clear the room.
Just want to recognize her part of our school community, and then also certainly offer her family all of our condolences. So if we could have a moment of silence right now, we appreciate it. Thank you. And so I had heard earlier, and we actually have probably the world's quickest superintendent's report tonight. It's really only one slide, really focused on some of the nuts and bolts of what we're doing tonight in looking at the budget. And really, I've had a couple opportunities where we could share some decent news about our budget, and this is certainly one of them, and another credit to our business finance office, and then also the work that they have all done under the leadership of Michelle Grise, who's really done an incredible job. This year, we've talked a few times about needing to make adjustments in a couple appropriations that were out of order. Particularly, we mentioned special education tuitions and then also transportation. And as we closed out FY24, those two predictions came to fruition. Even after utilizing all of our circuit breaker funds for FY24, we still had a shortfall of about $825,000 remaining in our special ed tuitions. That's one of the reasons why we made an adjustment in our FY25 budget. The good news is, though, that with other appropriations and having healthy amounts, we were able to balance that $825,000 from the funds that we had in other appropriations, and with the exception of needing to use the circuit breaker in full for this year, we don't have to tax any other revolving accounts, and we will not have to use excess and deficiency this year. A similar story for transportation, and the transportation again was primarily due to out-of-district special education placements. That was over by approximately $418,000, and again, that was able to be balanced with other appropriations in our general fund budget. And so we leave the year, we're not where we want to be still, about 1% in our excess and deficiency, and we are better than we had hoped in terms of not having to have used our revolving funds to balance the budget. There's still a slight potential we may have to use about $90,000 from some school choice, but we think we may even be able to avoid that. So just an outstanding job when you're able to balance the budget and not have to access or deplete revolving funds more than we have in the past and not have to touch excess and deficiency. It's really good news. Thank Michelle for all her hard work. Really, it's when you have this big of a budget and you're able to be at $90,000 or less, it's a pretty incredible feat. So thank you to her and all her hard work and everybody in the business department. And that's it for me tonight.
All right. Any questions for the superintendent about the slides or anything in the superintendent's report that came out last week? Seeing none, we're ready to move on to recommendations requiring action by the school committee. So the first one, I would accept a motion to appoint the recommended legal firms of Stoneman, Chandler, and Miller, and Nuttall, McAvoy, and Joyce as district legal counsel for the period of July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Jana. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to move to a roll call vote.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Runster? Member Winters? Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Hibber?
Avery, yes.
Chair Runster?
The chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right. I would accept a motion to approve expenses incurred in connections with Wachusett Regional School District members Gustafson and Salmon Garrett to attend the 2024 MASC-MASS Joint Conference in Hyannis, November 6th through 9th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
Jana and Linda. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to move to a roll call vote.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member, I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, thank you. Member Winters? Winters, yes. And Chair Runster?
The chair abstains, and the motion passes. I would accept a motion to approve expenses incurred for Superintendent Riley or his designee to attend the November 6th through 9th, 2024 MASC-MASS Joint Conference in Hyannis.
So moved.
Second.
I think I heard Linda and Lauren. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, as soon as Randy's ready, we'll move to a roll call vote. Yep, no problem, we're going fast. Lauren.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Chair Runster?
The chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right, we're going to move on to do some budget transfers to balance out the different accounts for 2024, which just ended. So first, I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $350,000 from salaries and stipends appropriation to the special education tuition appropriation.
So moved. Second.
Jana and Linda. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to move to a roll call vote.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Chair Runster?
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. Okay. I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $100,000 from the instructional support appropriation to the special ed tuition appropriation. We'll go back.
You're going the other way.
Yes.
So moved. Second.
And who was that? I'm sorry.
Who seconded it? Jana and Linda. Any discussion? All right. So we're ready to.
Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Chair Runster?
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right. I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $200,000 from the instructional support wait, I think I've written it wrong in my thing.
Can you go back to 4? I don't think we got.
Or number 5. No, we did the 350.
Okay, we did the 350, and we did the...
Motion 5.
We didn't do the 300? All right. I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $300,000 from the benefits and insurance appropriation to the special education tuition appropriation.
So moved. Second.
Who seconded that? Same people. All right. Any discussion? Ready to go to a roll call vote.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Chair Renstrom?
Chair abstains and the motion passes. Okay, we're on 7 now, right? Jana? Okay.
Yep.
I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $200,000 from the instructional support appropriation to the transportation appropriation.
So moved.
Second.
Jana and Dana. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to go to a roll call vote.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Chair Renstrom?
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right. Number 8, I would accept a motion to authorize the transfer of $200,000 from the operations and maintenance appropriation to the transportation appropriation.
So moved. Second.
Jana and Linda. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to go to a roll call vote.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Chair Renstrom?
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right. I would accept a motion to authorize the listed FY25 revolving funds in accordance with MGL Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to be expensed under the direction of the superintendent of schools or his designee, to be credited with receipts from acknowledged revenue sources, to be expended for the respective stated purposes, and not to exceed the authorized amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Shit. Okay, sorry. All right, and the actual funds were listed in the superintendent's report, so the listed funds were in your report, the package you got. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to move to a roll call vote.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Haber?
Avery, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Chair Renstrom?
The chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right, I would accept a motion to authorize the listed FY25 student activity funds in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to be expensed under the direction of the superintendent of schools or his designee, to be credited with receipts from acknowledged revenue sources, to be expended for the respective stated purposes, and not to exceed the authorized amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Jana and Jamie that time. And again, these were listed in the superintendent's report. Any further discussion?
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
I noticed increases in some of these, and one of those was athletics. So I was just wondering if there's any, we've had some discussions about athletics at this table, so I was wondering if that had anything to do with just reconciling things that happened this year, or can you repeat your question? The athletics appropriation increased by $50,000, so I was just wondering why.
On the revolving?
The revolving,
Yeah,
accounts,
the revolving.
revolving funds.
Just because when I did a little research, we probably spent over that. So you have to figure out how much you're taking in based on what you take in and what you spend each
Okay.
year. So I had to just, it doesn't mean we're going to really spend that.
Okay.
They're allowed to spend up to that.
Okay.
So it's not really an appropriation increase.
We're doing student
Okay.
activity.
It's just their ability
Their-
to use the revolving
We did
account
them out
up
of
to
order.
that amount of spend.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Because that's
Okay.
athletics is revolving.
Any further discussion?
Can I,
You have a question?
I need to clarify.
Yep.
You had a question about student activities, but athletics is a revolving fund, which we just approved. So are we discussing student activities or revolving?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mess up?
No, I may have gotten them out of order. I just wanted to clarify that I knew which one we were discussing.
We are now discussing student activities.
Student activity
I
funds.
apologize.
Okay,
That's
no,
mine.
no problem. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yep.
Wanted to make sure I understood
Yep.
what we were
Sorry.
I
discussing.
wanted to make sure I was reading the right thing, too. It is student activity funds. That was the motion.
Thank you for.
Yep. Any further discussion? All right, we're ready to move to a vote.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes?
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes?
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Poole?
Oh, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Winters?
Winters, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Chair Runstrom?
The chair abstains, and the motion passes. Okay. We got all the transfers, right, Jenna?
Yep.
Okay, wanted to make sure I hadn't missed one, because they all looked kind of the same on my sheet.
Yes, no.
All right.
They-
Okay. I would accept a motion to ratify the contract between the Wachusett Regional School District and the Wachusett Administrators Association, the WAA.
So moved?
Second.
Linda and Lauren, we discussed this in executive session, so we will move directly to a roll call vote.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Poole?
Oh, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Winters?
Winters, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Chair Runstrom?
Chair votes yes, and the motion passes. Okay. A lot of motions real fast, but I think we're done. All right, moving on to unfinished business. We have no unfinished business tonight, which brings us to the secretary's report. Tonight, we have a consent agenda consisting of the following items: approval of the executive session minutes of April 29th, 2024, approval of the organizational session minutes of May 28th, 2024, approval of the regular session minutes of May 28th, 2024, approval of the executive session minutes of May 28th, 2024, approval of the regular session minutes of June 10th, 2024, and approval of the executive session minutes of June 10th, 2024. Would anyone like to have any items removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Linda and Lauren? And we can move to a roll call vote.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Poole?
Oh, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Winters?
Winters, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Chair Runstrom?
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. All right, we're now moving on to committee business. I would accept a motion to amend Policy 6619, policy related to pupil services, life-threatening allergies, second reading, waiving the reading.
So moved.
Second?
Malia and Linda. Malia, since this was your subcommittee last year, do you want to speak to the motion?
There have been no changes or activities since our last meeting, but if people have questions, I'm happy to answer them. We are approving it as amended at the last meeting.
Okay. We did have a citizen request to speak to this motion as outlined in one of our policies, so I'm going to call on Laura Ybarra to speak to the motion.
Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. My name is Laura Ibarra, and I'm a resident of Holden. You've heard me speak now several times on this topic. I've passed out handouts that detail how the revisions to this policy and protocols are not robust enough. They're not compliant with the applicable regulations, they aren't inclusive, and they don't do enough to keep our kids safe, yet no changes have been made. There have been many recent PRS complaints filed against our district that have found the district to be non-compliant. Further, several have found that our district has violated 34 CFR 300.17 and found that the students were denied a free and appropriate public education, which required the district to offer compensatory services and other corrective actions. In these corrective actions, PRS required that changes be made to policies and procedures, and additional retraining be provided to the special ed director, special education coordinators, and support staff. Many also stated that this training be conducted by a non-district professional provider with special education expertise, as clearly the current process is not working. As representatives of our community, you are accountable for the quality of education in our school district. You are accountable for the oversight of our superintendent and administration. I have attended almost all meetings regarding this topic, provided public comment, and I've appealed to you as advocates for our students and our community. That didn't create any change. I've appealed to you as human beings, hoping that you would want to keep 12% of our student population safe, and that didn't work either. Although I'm confused why we're even at this point, now I'm trying to appeal to your sense of financial responsibility. I've outlined at prior meetings how our current policies and procedures do not meet the minimum requirements of the law, yet no changes have been made. Other parents have voiced their concerns, yet no changes have been made. I have stated that we have no policies and procedures governing 504, yet the law requires us to do so. These compliance issues are serious and could open our district up to a series of complaints through the Massachusetts Department of Education's Elementary and Secondary Education Problem Resolution System, or discrimination complaints through the Federal Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, or with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. Our district's administrative staff will be required to respond, or in some cases, with recent PRS cases, they won't respond at all, to their state and federal regulatory agencies. This is completely unnecessary and is a complete and total waste of our taxpayer resources. But more importantly, this will bring additional scrutiny to our already very closely watched school district. How much worse does the non-compliance have to get before you take action? We need a solid policy. We need strong protocols. If you're not willing to move this policy back to subcommittee and involve families in this process that live this experience every day, I either urge you to ask yourself, or I'd like to ask the question through the chair, if I may, to ask how this policy complies. The policy states that the district shall follow 105 CMR 210.000. I'd like to ask the committee through the chair to explain how they comply.
So, Malia, do you think you could answer that question?
I can answer some questions. You're asking how we comply with that law. The school committee is enacting this policy, which refers to specific procedures and the DESE guidelines, which I have read and I have seen, and our administrators have used to create the protocols. They have showed us the slides they used in the training. I have received copies of it recently, and I even went through, and everything that is in those guidelines that we are aware of has been referenced, not specifically in this, but specifically the DESE guidelines have been referenced, and the protocols, which are based on those guidelines and can change as those guidelines change, have been referenced. To the specific question of how the school committee can ensure that we comply, this policy references the specific laws and says that we will comply. The how of how that happens is an ongoing process. It's not, I mean, I can't speak for the whole committee, to be honest, I can't. But I can speak for how we generally operate. And we took care to refer to the laws in this policy. I know you mentioned several things with 504s and other things. This says we will follow those rules. We will follow those guidelines. It says every student is eligible for those meetings. It says every student, it says we will follow the DESE guidelines. We will follow the law, CMR 210, 105 CMR 210. What those laws state and exactly what the protocols look like is beyond the duties of this committee. But we have done our due diligence in making sure that every law that is relevant to this is cited in this and the protocols between the two. And we were very careful at the end to also include links to those documents so that families can know exactly where to find them. and as they're updated and changed, exactly where to find them. So in our last meeting, we did make one change that the protocols, changes to the protocols would be reported to the subcommittee, to this committee as well. I think that we are doing as much as we can as a school committee to make sure that we are following the laws. It's not up to the school committee to get involved in every individual case. That's why there's processes, as you stated, with the state and others. If we're not following laws, there are paths for that, but it is not the school committee's role by law to be engaged at that level. That's not our job. Our job is policy, and this policy is inclusive of all of the laws that we are expected to follow. So I can't speak for the whole committee, but that is, I can speak for, as we went through this process, what we took into account. And I know that there are some people who would like it to include verbatim what's included in the law, but that, again, is not practical. We didn't feel it was practical. We felt referring to the law, referring to the protocols, which are based on the laws and change annually or could change annually, was our dedication to following the law and our expectation that we would follow these laws. And that is the role of school committee, to have a policy. It is not our duty to be involved in every step of that process with every family, or if there are complaints. That's why there's a process with the state, and I hope we don't need to use it, but we do have this policy in place that references all of the laws that are required in that process.
Thank you, Melina. Thanks. That answers the question.
May I say one more thing? That didn't quite answer my
yes.
question.
Okay.
The policy says, let's see, the district shall follow 105 CMR 210.000. So in my handout from previous meetings, I highlighted all the areas of that regulation that we were not compliant with. So if you don't mind, 210.003. The school committee, and this speaks to your point, the school committee consulting with the Board of Health shall adopt policies and procedures governing the administration of prescription medication and self-administration of prescription medications. And then it highlights 7 different items that are required in the policies and procedures that we do not have. 210.004, the school committee, consulting with the Board of Health where appropriate, may approve a proposal developed by the school nurse that goes on to describe how they comply with the policy. You can't just say that you comply with the policy when the policy says in order to comply, you have to have these detailed policies and procedures. So just by saying you comply with the policy doesn't make you in compliance. You have to do what the law says and have those policies and procedures that are outlined in the law.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I say one more thing?
Member Haber.
Today I took the time to read through the 80-page ETSI document again because I don't want to vote for something that I don't think is right. And in this case, I do think it's right. We are hearing a lot about policies and procedures. Policy is school committee purview, procedure is not. We need to simply vote on policy tonight, and including in that to make sure that the protocols are going to be reviewed later. Part of the DESI document says, school districts should develop a plan regarding the care of students with life-threatening allergies. The allergy management and prevention plan should address A, measures to reduce exposure to allergens, B, procedures to treat allergic reactions. District policy should require adherence to this allergy management prevention plan, period. And I do believe that our policy does cover that.
Okay, thanks. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to move to a roll call vote.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Winters?
Winters, no.
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Chair Winstrom?
The chair abstains and the motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to refer
this new policy as written, 6619, life-threatening allergies, to the policy subcommittee for further review.
You can second
I moved it.
Yeah, she moved it. Yep. So it's been moved and seconded. I think this was an item on the agenda, so even though we just passed a policy, I don't have any objection. Without objection, I will allow the motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Can I speak to the
Yep.
motion? So I support the revision of the policy and see that it corresponds with other district policies that I've reviewed. After reviewing similar policies from other districts, there are a few additional policies that may reach a little farther in some areas. So I think that there might be a need for further, for additional work, and there may be a need for further clarification on this policy. Therefore, I think that sending this back to policy subcommittee allows the revisions to take place now, but also opens the pathway for us to continue the dialogue and ensure that it hits the target.
Yeah, good.
So part of the reasoning for moving this back to policy subcommittee because other districts have other policies that move further. I don't believe that this policy that has been discussed more than possibly any policy since I've been on the committee, it has been discussed for hours by many people. I think that if the policy subcommittee wants to come to the full committee and recommend further policies, but I think this policy is absolutely fine as is, and I do not agree with referring it to policy subcommittee.
Okay.
Sherry.
Member Haber.
I also don't see the need to refer this particular policy back to the subcommittee. The problems that I've heard from the public seem to have more to do with the protocols than the policy. And if anything, I would ask that administration consider a public hearing type setting for considering revisions to the protocol versus the policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a clarification, so my understanding is we've passed the policy, so the policy that we just passed is district policy. This is not undoing that vote, it would be looking for additional revisions to the policy is that correct, Member
Yes.
Kirschenbaum? So
Yeah.
that's what.
So again, I just want to move forward with this policy, but I also think that maybe there's more to it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Leah?
I would oppose this motion. We discussed essentially the same motion at our last meeting, and it was defeated. I think we had a quite robust discussion about it then, and it was defeated. I think there are, as we could see from their list, many other things that the policy subcommittee should be working on in this committee, and this particular policy has had hours and hours and hours of time devoted to it. Hours, I can't tell you how many hours. And I don't think that the concerns that remain are related to things in the policy. We looked at other policies, we had our legal counsel engaged. I just don't think there's a lot else at this point that could be added to the policy. I understand the concerns. I think some of them have to deal with protocol. Some of them have to do with other policies. Some things were referenced regarding medications. We have a separate policy for administering medications. So they're not just this policy. I think it would be more useful to look at some of the other policies that are related and perhaps or missing that would reinforce this, and also the protocols. But we have spent hours on this, and I hate to repeat basically what we voted on at our last meeting. I don't know the legality of that, to be honest, but we did vote on that exact question at our last meeting as to whether to refer to a subcommittee, and we voted no. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, no.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, no.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, no.
Member Poole?
Pool, no.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, no.
Member Haber?
Haber, no.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, no.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, no.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Chair Redstrom.
The chair abstains and the motion fails. All right, next under committee business is a motion from member Lorway. Would you like to make the motion, Dana?
Yes. I think that the motion as written here, I think can be changed because since presenting this motion, I've done some research, had some conversations. So, but I would like to speak to this topic a little bit, and perhaps another motion will be coming out of it.
So you have to make the motion first, and then
Okay.
I'll let you speak to, but you can make whatever, it doesn't have to be the exact motion as written. You can make, you can change the wording, it's your motion. So you may make whatever motion that you want, and then you can speak to it.
I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to make a motion to ask administration to provide the committee, comma, the public, comma, and district families with the definitions used by our special education administration, et cetera.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second?
All right, seconded by Shannon. Now you can speak to the motion.
Thank you. I mentioned this motion, I bring forth this motion with some goals in mind, and they're based on my experience of special education from both sides of the table. I'd like us to have a tool in our toolbox to do the following: to save money on outside evaluations, to save money on out-of-district schooling and transportation for special education students, to save time and money, trying to avoid having to revise and dispute IEPs, to establish a higher level of transparency in our special education procedures, to build trust among the community around the topics, the specific topics in special education of reading, disability, and difficulty, and to provide access for parents and to a CPAC for information that is indeed our policy and not something that we're going to discuss. Well, here's our definition. Well, here's what it is now. Here's what it was last month. To make that clear. And I target reading because that's something I know something about, but I also get emails from my constituents, and yours too, about the subject of reading difficulty and dyslexia. Reading is not just one thing, and I think we can improve the way we talk about reading and the treatment of reading problems in various for instance, on the website, maybe we would have, the method of getting this message across could be policy, but I'm also open to other ideas as to how to get this policy across, how to get this information across, because my goal is to disseminate information. And so there's some ways of disseminating the information that may just not be in our purview. So I'm hoping that you all can help me with that. I'm especially interested in establishing some transparency and consistency among the way we provide services for kids with reading difficulties.
Good. Any further discussion? Member Haber.
Through the chair, I'd ask Dr. Riley if this information exists somewhere already, and it just needs to be made public.
Yeah, I'm not aware of how it exists in district, to be honest with you, Member Haber. You know, if there's a working definition that they use through special education, you can get an answer from Director DeAngelis, but I couldn't tell you that.
I'll come back to you, Dana, but first. Linda.
So on DESE, there is, under special education, there is a page that has links and resources, and it has a list of definitions. So autism, blind and visually impaired, communication impairment, et cetera, and dyslexia too. And I wonder if having a link to this on the district website would be a first step. I think that it is an issue that we've seen in the district where there's, the professionals about education, and then there's the parents, the kind of professionals of their children, and how to make sure that you're using the same language and have a common understanding of what is school responsibility, what is possible when something that I find, I've run into a lot is that what I think is a clearly general use term ends up having a very specific meaning in education. And so having a resource that's easy to get to on the district website, I think would be helpful, and I think is in the spirit of this motion. So I don't know if that would be a way to, because I think if a link to this DESE webpage would be disseminating the information to the school committee, to the public, to families, I don't know if that's an appropriate step for moving forward.
Jana, and then back to Dana.
To that end, I want to, through the chair, ask administration, I know that there is a student support services website in the works. Is there a special education also section of the website that's in the works where different terms and links to DESE and things can be posted under that, since it seems to be we're creating a more robust website with different sections for different departments?
Yeah, actually, it's one of the things that we've identified this summer is for Joan to take a look at the special education website and things. And just to comment on what member Woodland was saying is when I hear when Joan references, she references the DESE definition. I just don't know the procedure we go through at team meetings in terms of eligibility or what our course of action is. But yes, I think just like we're updating student support, I know we're going to be looking at special education will actually be, as part of our communication part of the strategic plan, are going to be potentially looking at our website district-wide. But those are things that, we definitely could be working on, should be working on.
Dana and then Malia.
Thank you. Yes, I have pulled up the district special education website, and it is under construction. This is not on it right now. So I had some dialogues with Director DeAngelis, and I discovered that our district does use, according to her, our district does use the DESE definitions of specific learning disability and of dyslexia. But I don't think that's information that's readily available to families. I think Member Woodland's mention of just adding a link is one good way to get the information out there, and there may be others. Again, my goal is to increase transparency and communication and getting everyone on the same page. And I speak from experience of having to revise IEPs, of having to spend hours discussing with somebody what dyslexia is, when there is a state definition. And I think it would benefit us to declare whether or not we are using that definition, and to use that in planning programs and treatments for our kids.
Thanks. Malia?
What I was going to say is that I believe the website is under construction. I know that Director DeAngelis discussed that several times at CPEC administrative meetings last year. It was mentioned. We don't know what the progress of that is because it was mentioned for about half the year, so it's unfortunate.
Still under construction.
It's unfortunate she's not here to discuss that or provide an update. But my understanding is it is under construction, under reconstruction, and that this might be, I think that I agree, that would be a useful place to include this. I am hesitant of creating a policy specifically for this. I mean, it wasn't clear to me when I read this motion exactly what the goal was, if it was a policy around this or adding to an existing policy. However, I'm leery of including direct language of a definition unless it's required by federal law, which it is in some of our policies, because it's subject to change. And if that changes, then we have to change our policy. And I'm always leery of that. Although I do think that there should definitely be, if we have a definition that we use in the district, it should be made available to parents and communicated to them through the website, through documents provided at meetings, although I know those aren't hard copies anymore, but I think it's something that perhaps we should have available, or have a document that has links to some of these things that we send people with their invitations to meetings. I also, though, am concerned from a broader perspective about I think we should add definitions for all kinds of things where it's useful, but dyslexia is one very specific learning disability, and there are many, many more, and it makes me nervous to discuss doing this for just one and not others, because there are a lot of others, and many of our students have multiple, and I don't think any of them are more or less important than others. So I think the information about any definitions we're using should be conveyed in some way, but not necessarily a policy.
Okay. I have Lauren and then Dana again.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this motion until the next full school committee meeting when Director DeAngelis is in attendance.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Linda seconded it. So you're asking
do
to
it right?
postpone definitely to the next meeting is
Yeah.
the motion. This is debatable. Is there any discussion about the motion? Dana?
My first response is to say I understand it would be nice to have Director DeAngelis here, but I think we can lay some groundwork even without her. I've already had some email conversations with her, so I kind of know where she stands on some things anyway.
I appreciate that, but I'd like to hear that from her.
Right, I would too. As I say, I present the idea that maybe we could lay some groundwork tonight. Because I agree with what Malia was saying, that perhaps we don't need a policy, perhaps we just need a handout that goes out with the invitation to a meeting, or with information about the evaluation. That's the kind of, maybe we could come up with some recommendations to present.
Okay. So right now, the motion is to postpone this motion to the next meeting. Is there any more discussion about the motion to postpone to the next meeting? Member Haber.
And in the meantime, I would suggest to administration that you decide on a vehicle to present more information to the public.
Okay. Thank you. Any more discussion about the motion to postpone to the next meeting? Seeing none, we can vote on the motion to postpone.
Member Winters?
Winters, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, no.
Member Poole?
Pool, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Chair Winstrom?
The chair abstains. The motion passes. This motion is postponed definitely to take up at our next meeting. So it will be on the agenda at the next meeting. All right, moving on to treasurer's report and financial statement. So the treasurer's report is in your packets. We have a new treasurer, and I did see the report. Questions about the treasurer's report should be directed to the Business and Finance Subcommittee. Questions about financial statement should be directed to the business director. Moving on, next on the agenda is CPAC report. Member Lavoie isn't here, but Member Lavoie and I did meet with the CPAC officers this afternoon to discuss some current concerns and plan for regular CPAC reports over the next year. We had a great discussion about having a more collaborative relationship between CPAC and the committee next year, and I look forward to having more meetings going forward this year. All right, moving on to subcommittee reports. Policy Subcommittee, Member Kirschenbaum.
We did not meet tonight. We did not have quorum.
Okay. Business and Finance Subcommittee, Member Brennan.
Business and Finance, sorry, getting myself together. I didn't expect to go this fast.
Neither did I.
Business and Finance met nope. That's old, sorry. I don't remember where we met. I'm sorry, I don't remember which date we met, but we did meet recently. And we discussed a number of things, one of which was the transfers that we made today. Another one was the passing of the budget in Princeton, and setting up our calendar for the year. We also discussed the amending of the Audit Advisory Board policy, which we will bring to the next full school committee meeting. And we had a fairly lengthy discussion about trying to set up earlier in the year our vision as a school committee for our budget process for the year and what we'd like to see from our budget this year. So we look forward to working with administration on that coming up. And we were going to have a meeting on July 18th, but I think it got bumped by Audit Advisory Board. So we're hoping to meet another day that week. I should have that set soon.
Okay, thank you. Legal Affairs. Garrett.
Legal Affairs met on June 17th to discuss some timelines for negotiations and discuss current legal counsel to make a recommendation to the full committee. So we discussed the pending schedule with the paraprofessionals, the ABA PAs, and the custodial unit, and then looking forward to scheduling next year's negotiations as well.
Thanks. Which unions do we have coming up this year?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, that's fine. Superintendent Goals and Evaluation, Member Poole?
Yep, so we haven't met yet. Our first scheduled meeting is actually August 26th.
Okay, thank you. Facilities and Security, Member Woodland?
All right, I'll start with the update and then I'll get to the motions. So we met on June 20th. And we went over our policy docket for the year, which we'll get to in a sec. We talked about the capital improvement plan update. So if you recall, we updated that policy. So instead of coming to you with the 10-year CIP and the capital projects budgets for the year in October, we're going to be doing that for the August 12th meeting. And so we were just planning out how we're going to look at the CIP, how we're going to do the building tours this summer. And so we're going to do Glenwood, Houghton and Choxet, Davis Hill, the high school this summer. And then in the fall, we'll be looking at Thomas Prince, Paxton Center, and the ECC. And those reports will come back to the school committee. And let's see, and then we just had an update on the task force status that we would be looking to meet again in September. So as far as the current facilities that are updates that are going on now, most of the updates were about kitchen equipment taken out of the food revolving account, and so a lot of new equipment going into all of our cafeterias. And also I want to say thank you to all of the towns for supporting our capital budgets in their various forms this time around. It's looking like we have some really good partnerships with all of the towns taking care of our buildings together. And so then the policies, we looked at, every year we look through our policies. It's usually in the 7,000 series, but not always, and we try to get a lay of the land for the year ahead. So with the new version of policy revisions that we have this year, I'll make a motion to refer the following policies to the policy subcommittee for review. Policy 7161, policy related to support operations, naming of school property and grounds. Policy 7159, vandalism. Policy 7211, ridership.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon. Any discussion?
So let's see. So for these, Policies. So for 7159 vandalism, this was last reviewed in 2008, and it's one of the older policies in the 7000 series. We've seen an uptick in vandalism in our schools in the past 4 to 5 years, and there are also changing laws and norms regarding student discipline since 2008, and so that seemed to be a worthwhile policy to review. It also, while it impacts facilities, there's also a student behavior component, and that seemed to be outside the scope of our subcommittee. For 7161, naming of school property and grounds, many district capital projects are needed in the near future, and so there might be opportunities for sponsorship or named gifts that could be incorporated into financial plans, and this policy was last reviewed in 2017. And then 7211 ridership, this was last reviewed in 2007 and doesn't seem to fit within the facilities purview.
Okay, any further discussion? I'm just going to state, since this is a new policy this time, this is required for a subcommittee to look at a policy. We have to refer it to the subcommittee. I'm going to say, this is just my opinion as a member, but just because something is referred to the policy subcommittee, it's still up to the policy subcommittee to decide on their priorities of what they're looking at, but this allows them to start looking at these policies. My opinion as a member, but that's what I would add. Yeah, go ahead.
Just to follow, one of the questions that I've had, and I think we talked about in facilities, was, does this policy subcommittee want to do it this way? And so, I think that there was a general feeling of, let's see what happens and how this works, and hope that it works well.
Okay, Laura?
Yeah, so given we didn't speak about this today in our meeting because that was on the agenda, what is our process? How do we prioritize? Are there pre-screening questions that we want to, so there was a lot that we were going to cover tonight, and this being one of them is the process. And so I'll speak for myself, is that this is the way that I think I see this going, is that there's going to be policies that come up from subcommittees, from members, from the administration that refer the policy. There are going to be some policies where the law has changed, and we have to do that. Title IX laws have changed, and we're going to have to put those on our priority list. So those are some things. And then there's going to be policies that, to your point, haven't been reviewed in a long time. And those should then bubble up to the surface as well. So I see this as all part of that. So I'm speaking for myself as the chair, but we'll see what the other members have to say. But this seems like a pretty plausible first step.
Okay. Any further discussion? Ready to vote? All right, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Member Poole?
Poole, yes.
Member Woodland?
Woodland, yes.
Member Haber?
Haber, yes.
Member Winters? Winters, yes. Member Brennan?
Brennan, yes.
Member Beardmore?
Beardmore, yes.
Member Gustafson?
Gustafson, yes.
Member Lorway?
Lorway, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum?
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Simon Garrett?
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Chair Owens?
Chair abstains, the motion passes.
Right, I move to refer proposed policy to the Policy Subcommittee, Capital Stabilization Fund, based on a sample policy from Acton-Boxborough.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon. Any discussion?
So now this policy, the Capital Stabilization Fund, that's something that we can create as a regional district. We have to go through the town. There's a process through MGL that doesn't necessarily require a policy for that portion of it. This fund was discussed last year during budget season as a desirable thing, as we have a lot of aging buildings that are district-owned and town-owned, that this would be helpful to plan for the future. So the need for this policy would be in creating the guidelines for target percentages or dollar amounts that should be retained in this fund and other relevant practices. So along the lines of what our E&D policy dictates, that we should have 1% in the fund and so on. So those kinds of guidelines would be what facilities would be asking whatever subcommittee to look at for this policy. And like the earlier motion, this fund, it's not just a facilities purview. There's also overlap with business and finance for sure. I don't know if there are other areas of committee work that it overlaps with, so it seemed like a job for policy sub. There is a bit of a timeline issue of this, where if we want to make use of this fund, we kind of needed to make it yesterday. And so if we are to decide to ask the towns to create this fund, that would have to go to the spring town meetings before we could put money into it. I think that there is a way to work annual town meeting warrants so that you can layer your articles appropriately and make the timing work. Even better if we have a policy ready to go. So ideally, this would be a high priority policy, whichever subcommittee looks at it.
Okay, any further discussion? Looks like we're ready to vote.
Member Lorway.
Lorway, yes?
Member Gustafson.
Gustafson, yes.
Member Brennan.
Brennan, yes.
Member Winters.
Winters, yes.
Member Beardmore.
Beardmore, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum.
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett.
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Woodland.
Woodland, yes.
Member Haber.
Haber, yes.
Member Poole.
Poole, yes.
Chair Runciman.
Chair abstains, the motion passes.
All right, I move to refer the following policies to the Facilities and Security Subcommittee for review. Policy 7131, Buildings and Ground Maintenance, Policy 7132, Maintenance, Repairs, and Renovations, and Policy 7151.1, Playground Safety.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon. Discussion?
So now these, we thought that we are asking to have these come back to the Facilities Subcommittee for review. For one thing, our policy book is really big, and for a new fledgling subcommittee, for Policy Subcommittee, we didn't really know where the priority would lie. And in particular, these three policies, so buildings and ground maintenance, that was 2013, maintenance, repairs, and renovations was 2002, playground safety was 2003. All three of these policies also incorporate a large part of regional lease and maintenance agreements, and this is the bread and butter of the facilities subcommittee work. And so we've already used these agreements in a lot of detail, going over the language, making sure that we understand it with the capital projects. So this would be a continuation of that same work of facilities. And we thought, since we've already done that groundwork, let's continue it, and as long as there's no objection, send it back to facilities for us to work on once the capital projects are sent through to the full committee.
Okay. Any further discussion? Looks like we're ready to vote.
Member Kirschenbaum.
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Member Salmon Garrett.
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Lorway.
Lorway, yes?
Member Poole.
Poole, yes.
Member Haber.
Haber, yes.
Member Gustafson.
Gustafson, yes.
Member Beardmore.
Beardmore, yes.
Member Brennan.
Brennan, yes.
Member Woodland.
Woodland, yes.
Member Winters. Winters, yes. Chair Runciman.
Chair abstains, the motion passes.
All right, last one for me. I move to refer a proposed policy to the Facilities and Security Subcommittee, retirement of facilities, based on a sample policy from MASC.
Second.
Seconded by Shannon. Discussion?
All right, so this one, the district has at least one building that's nearing the end of its use, and so facilities had identified the sample policy last year as a possible pathway to handle that situation. It would outline specific needs for a regional district in this circumstance, because there are issues with if it's district-owned, town-owned, and what to do when these buildings are no longer adequate. And so again, like the other policies in this section, the issue is dependent on regional lease and maintenance agreements, and capital projects are bread and butter.
Okay. Any further discussion? No, looks like we're ready to vote.
Member Haber.
Haber, yes.
Member Winters. Winters, yes. Member Salmon Garrett.
Salmon Garrett, yes.
Member Poole.
Poole, yes.
Member Gustafson.
Gustafson, yes.
Member Woodland.
Woodland, yes.
Member Lorway.
Lorway, yes.
Member Brennan.
Brennan, yes.
Member Beardmore.
Beardmore, yes.
Member Kirschenbaum.
Kirschenbaum, yes.
Chair Runciman.
Chair abstains, and the motion passes. Anything else?
We'll be starting our building tours later this month, and you've heard enough from me.
Which buildings are you touring this summer?
So it's Glenwood, the high school, Davis Hill, Houghton Choxet, and then in the fall will be the next three, right? I got them. Yeah. ECC possible. We'll see. We'll talk, Randy.
Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm actually not a Simcoe person for any of those schools, but I didn't know if it's possible for the dates for the Simco members for those schools to maybe join you if they wanted to?
Oh, right, yes. That, I hadn't gotten to that step yet. We'll be asking the Simco reps for those schools to join as well. At least for Glenwood, we also should have Peter Durant and a representative from Kim Ferguson's office coming to the tour as well. And it's a good chance too for our town administrators and, you know, other town players to make sure that we're all talking about the same topics and making sure we're working together, so, and know what we're talking about.
Current dates or no?
Sure. So it'll be the July 22nd, July 23rd, and July 25th are the ones that we have scheduled so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Audit Advisory Board. I'm sorry,
Without
Melissa?
Matt here, do you mind if I speak without Matt here?
She wants to speak.
You want to speak to the Audit Advisory Board?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, yes, please, go ahead. While she's approaching the podium, what I was going to say is I'm really looking for additional volunteers for the Audit Advisory Board. I could use 1, 2, or even 3 volunteers if anyone's willing to do it. I believe, and Malia, correct me if I'm wrong, because you were chaired this committee last year, you only meet about 4 times per year, is that right?
We're in the process of updating that with the policy that Business and Finance will be bringing you, but at most it's 4 times a year, and our policy actually states that there would be a chair and vice chair from the school committee, so only 2 members from the
Okay.
school committee, actually.
So
But we don't have 2 members currently, so yes.
So it's a fairly low bar. It's nice if you
Yes.
have some background in finance, but it's not required, and I could use 1 or 2 people
Yes.
on that subcommittee. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, without Matt here, I just wanted to say, and it was mentioned earlier, that we have a meeting scheduled for next Thursday, the 18th. The auditors are going to come in to present the FY23 audit. We should have draft financial statements sometime this week, possibly even by the end of the day tomorrow. So I just wanted to make the committee aware that we're closing in, and I might only be in 2 fiscal years in a couple of weeks.
That would be great. Okay, so please let me know if you'd be willing to serve on the Audit Advisory Board.
It's really interesting. I'll say, it's very interesting, because there are town conversations with the towns as well, so.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to school council reports. Do we have any school council reports tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Do we have any new business this evening?
I have
Laura.
a question. I just want to circle back to something that I think I heard Member Haber mention a little bit ago, and I'm wondering if it's official, or if we need to make it official. But she had, and I'm sorry if I put words in your mouth, but you had asked if administration could develop a process to include stakeholders in the updating of procedures and protocols relating to the life-threatening allergies, and I'm just wondering if this is the place where we can make that request official, or if that's what you intended.
So the question, I believe, is for Member Haber.
Well, yes, it's through you. I would
Okay.
like to make sure that that gets officially requested, but I believe that
Okay.
was the intent when Member Haber mentioned it earlier.
Didn't we vote on that last meeting?
Was it at the last meeting? So you could certainly make that request under new business yourself. You don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to
All right.
ask.
Well, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to make it official that the administration develop and implement a plan to engage in an open and transparent process to update the protocols and procedures related to life-threatening allergies and involving all stakeholders, and to report back.
So if we want to actually vote on it, just send me an email with
Is
that
that
text.
something that
and
we have to
we'll
vote on?
For next time.
You wanted to
At the next meeting, if you wanted to
Okay.
make a motion to require the administration to do that, but you could certainly ask. That's,
Okay.
any of us can ask the administration.
I see.
There's no problem with that. All right. Any other new business? All right, I see none. That means having completed all business on the agenda this evening, I declare this meeting is adjourned.